Welcome to Sewing Out Loud, the official podcast of ZD Sewing Studio. Here are your hosts, ZD and Mallory.
Sewing Out Loud. Hello, and welcome to the podcast. I'm Mallory Donahue.
And I'm ZD Donahue.
And today we're going to start a little series. This is long overdue, where I get to interview Mom about some of her makes. Okay? So
Yeah.
Mom's been making things before the internet was around,
That's
right?
Well, I don't know. When was the internet, invented, except no one was on it?
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean,
Well,
you started sewing in 64, right?
I was sewing when computers took up an entire building.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
So, you haven't, all these sewing bloggers nowadays and pattern designers, they're like, oh, a new make up on the blog. And if you had blogged about everything you'd made,
Oh, my gosh.
so we got to start talking about the
Right.
stuff you've made. We will talk about new things. We'll talk about things like we're doing our leggings class or something like
Right.
that, but we don't talk about your older projects, and there
Right.
are millions of those. So how many prom dresses do you think you've made, Mom?
Well, for my own children, there would be 8 or 9, I guess.
Yeah.
3 for you. One we detailed to retail.
Yeah, that's true. That one was just kind of altered. It's like
Right.
2.5 for me.
Well, we changed it twice, though.
Yeah, that's true.
We changed it twice. And actually for Hillary, I think I only made 2.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's too many, because I think Lindsay only went to prom once.
Right, but she went to another dance that year and I made another one.
Made something else.
Yeah,
Oh.
I'm trying to think. There were homecoming dances.
Right.
But prom, maybe for only 5 for you guys.
But then you made prom dresses for other people.
I did make prom. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
that's what I mean. Yeah.
Sometimes Mallory would say, my friend Becca needs a prom dress too. I told her you'd be happy to make it for her. Here, so I did make Becca her first prom dress.
Yeah. And
Yes.
but people paid you to make other prom dresses
Right.
too.
I don't think Becca paid me. I think I just made it.
I forgot about that. It's
Right.
green, right? Wasn't
No,
it
hers
like
is
emerald?
burgundy.
Oh, it was.
I'm almost sure it was burgundy. But
I
anyway,
guess I'll text her. No.
we'll ask her.
But today we're going to talk about, this was my,
And I've altered probably
a
1 million
Yeah.
prom
Yeah.
dresses. Yes.
was this my first prom dress? I think it was. So here's the deal with prom around here.
Yeah.
Okay, in case anybody's wondering.
Well, and,
if you can,
and prom is a regional. There are regional.
oh, it's yes, it's different everywhere.
Yes, there are regional traditions.
So
and
I got
prom
to-
means promenade. It came
Yes.
from promenade. And there are actually some smaller towns around here that the whole town shows up and the seniors do a promenade, like they walk down an aisle and everybody sees, the couples walking down the aisle.
Right.
Now, there might only be 20 people in the graduating class,
Well,
but they
I
do
just
do
want to
that.
be clear that I didn't get to go to prom 3 times because I was repeating my senior year 3 times, is what I wanted to say. Okay. So I got to go to prom 3 times, because if you would go with a senior,
Or a junior.
no.
I thought, no, here they have a junior senior prom. A junior could
Not
go,
when
right?
not when I was in high school.
No, I think you could go as a junior.
No, I couldn't, because we had to game the system the first time.
Okay.
Okay, so no,
I must be thinking Chesterfield. That was a junior senior
yeah,
prom.
no,
Okay.
there are no junior proms, I don't think, here in CPS right now. So, so you had to go with the seniors. I found a way to get to prom my 10th, 11th, and 12th
Right.
grade years, and when I was in high school, 9th graders could not go to prom because we were in a different building. So anyway, I did not repeat my senior year 3 times. Okay, so but yeah, no junior prom. So I think this was my first prom dress.
I think it was. It had to be.
And my sophomore year, sophomore year of high school.
Yeah.
And
Junior year was the long white, and then senior year was the short white.
Yes. So if you are listening to this podcast, you haven't seen maybe the picture that shows up on the website, but this prom dress looks like a very long, slender
Fillet of salmon.
fillet of salmon. That's right. It is made from a taffeta. Is that what
No.
What would you
Do
call?
you know what this is?
No,
really?
no. You go ahead.
This was home deck. Did you know this was home deck?
Well, yeah, like taffeta's sometimes a
Well,
home deck,
I know,
right?
but it's not taffeta. Look, it's not taffeta.
Okay. What?
It's
so,
some sort of sleazy. Let's see, because see, you see through it. You can see through it.
yeah, I know. It's like a
you
drapery.
Don't see through taffeta.
Okay, so you don't see through taffeta.
No, but it was home deck fabric, and you can see through it, and then it has little dots of silver
Plastic.
rubber. Yeah.
So
Something.
the reason
it almost looks like sequins.
part of the
but
reason
it's a sheer fabric,
a part of the reason we say it looks like salmon,
and it's salmon in color
because it's pink and like gold.
That's silver. That is
no. The fabric is
yeah.
like pink and gold.
Yeah, it
and
has
then,
a gold thread in it. Yeah.
Yes, so it goes like it's like
Right.
pink on the warp and gold on the weft or whatever, and then it does
On the left or the white.
the left to the right, and then it does have those little like rubber
Yeah.
dots on it,
Yeah.
which
You know those little like for cakes, those little silver pearls.
yeah,
That's what it looks
It
like.
kinda
What are
looks like
those
that. It
called?
does. I don't know.
Those are called something. Somebody knows that.
But they're really great because they were rubber, so it's not like you were working with a bead or a
Right.
sequin.
And
the
you
needle
could
went right through.
you could sit on them too.
Yeah,
like
they were
comfortable.
But they still added the sparkle, so
Right.
definitely okay. And then why is the second reason it looks like a piece of salmon, Mom?
Okay, Mallory like drew this with a marker.
I did. I
Okay.
designed it.
She designed this dress. So the other reason it looks like a piece of salmon is it has a front seam, a back seam, and two side seams, right? And it's ruched. The whole thing is just ruched
So it's quartered and ruched, and it's
Right.
ruched from the bust to the hem.
to the hem.
And it's a straight dress.
Yes.
Okay. And it's,
And she said, I said, you're not going to be able to walk in this. And she said, I don't care.
I really wanted it to look like this. I didn't want it to look big and ballooned out.
Yeah, it's cut on the bias, by the
And
way.
okay, and I didn't.
I don't know if you knew that.
I was going to talk to you about that
Okay.
hem down there, and it's straight, and I didn't want the ruching to balloon out into some Cinderella thing,
Right.
So that's why I wanted it straight. And then you're like, we won't be able to walk in it, and I'm like, it's okay, it's fine. I just have to look beautiful. Now the top, what's that? I mean, what do you call that neckline up there?
I don't know. Is
I
it
mean,
a princess neckline?
It's like a triangle neckline.
Right.
No. It's sort of brief. I mean, is that what a princess neckline is?
Well, it goes down between your bosoms.
And then it's backless,
Yes.
pretty much. So
Pretty
turn
much.
that around. Yeah, so it's backless. It has an invisible zipper, and I'm pretty sure that it went like up to, right above like the small of my back.
Yes.
And it has very
Above the plumber's area.
Yes. So no butt crack. Just nice, gorgeous back that
Right.
I had. And Mom put really long straps on it.
I think you did these. Did
Okay,
you
but
string these? I think you string them.
Did I string them?
I think you did. I think I said, why don't you do this?
You told me to do it because it was your idea. Because I remember
Right.
you were like, what about doing this? And I was like, oh, that's a cool idea. So the straps.
They're on pearl cotton.
Oh, okay.
I just
So
looked.
the straps are pearl cotton strung with beads. So it's like
Right.
jewelry.
So it just looks like, right, it looks like jewelry. The straps are jewelry.
Yeah, they are just a cord with beautiful Swarovski crystals and whatnot strung on there. And I must have paid attention because they match.
Yes.
Like
No,
both, they're
the same,
symmetrical.
right.
Yeah. So
Yeah, because it's not one bead. It's like 7 or 8 different kinds of beads.
Oh yeah, they're all different shapes
Right.
and sizes, and they are pink and a couple of like darker brown thrown in and some
Right.
pearl. And some of them are round beads, and some of them are like rectangular prism beads that are like flat rectangular prisms,
Right.
where you find in like what's that one? That neckline looks like it.
Well, that says it's a halter because
Okay, because it's a
I'm
halter.
looking for the actual. I'm looking on the internet, trying to find a name for this neckline, and because we thought it up, there is
It doesn't
no name.
exist. I mean, I
Right.
think it might be such a simple concept that it almost doesn't have a name. It just basically comes up to a triangle, 2 triangles that, flow down into the dress. But the straps, it's not a halter. The straps go straight down in the back. They don't cross. They don't.
See, this says sweetheart, except
It's strapless.
Right. This one's strapless, and it has that sweetheart dip. That's what I would call it. And you just have straps on.
Well, you guys go look at the pictures,
right. We'll
on
have
the
all
website.
the pictures there. Right.
And now we said what we haven't mentioned yet. You were like, "This is sheer home deck fabric."
Yeah,
It
we
is
did
lined.
line it. It's
lined.
lined with a crepe back satin or satin back crepe.
Yeah, is it crepe back satin or satin back crepe, Mom?
Yeah. Well,
Which one?
I call it crepe back satin. There are people who call it satin back crepe. So I don't know what it's called.
I just forgot which one I call. Which are you sure? Is that the one we just said?
But here's what's
Did I just
really
say?
funny. I cut it on the bias,
Yeah,
and this might have been where I started your habit.
I know. I see that.
The lining isn't hemmed.
It's not hemmed. It's a raw edge.
It's just cut. It's a raw edge cut on the bias. I can't believe I didn't hem it. You know why? I probably didn't want to confine it in any way whatsoever so you could almost walk in it.
That's right. So what Mom did, it stretches down there because you didn't do that. Look.
Right.
Okay, so this is ruched on these 4 quarters. Let's talk about how we did this. So, Mom,
Do you remember?
I do.
Oh, okay.
I do. A little bit, okay. We laid this fabric out
Right.
on the cutting table.
Right.
And
No pattern, everybody.
No pattern.
No. This is totally done by draping.
did you run pearl cotton? Was it pearl cotton or something? Up
Whatever.
The center?
I ran over
cord.
some cord or threading. And
Did
I
you
took
zigzag
the-
over it?
I took the 2 sheer pieces,
Uh-huh.
and I believe I zigzagged over them.
Uh-huh.
I don't think you're going to be able to see that anymore, though, the way I've got this. So I sheared each section together.
Yes.
So this is like a tube, and I gathered the seams onto some sort of cording, right?
Right.
And we laid it out on the table to like juice it out, so it would look even,
Yeah.
right? The front and the back.
And we had to crawl up onto the cutting table
That's right.
to arrange the ruching. So how did you decide, I didn't know to ask this then, how did you decide how long of a piece of this to cut?
I don't know.
Okay.
I probably thought of draperies. Like
Yeah.
when you gather
Were you like, I'm
something,
gonna do
you
it
want
twice?
2.5.
Yeah, two and a
I
half
probably
as
did
much.
2.5 thinking I can cut it off.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Let's go long. Mallory wasn't a very big person then either. Now,
As opposed to now.
so
I'm just huge.
so I ruched these seams together on the shear,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And then what I did is I took the crepe back satin back crepe, right? Whatever you want to call it. And I sandwiched it. So the 2 shears were ruched, and then on the bias, all of this is on the bias. I took that crepe, and it was the bread and
The shear was
the
the
shear
jelly
were
and
the peanut butter and jelly,
jelly.
right? And then I stitched them together to somewhat stabilize that, but it's on the bias, so everything still stretches. So because it fits her like literally it was like a glove.
It would really fit me like a glove now.
Yeah, her left leg like a glove. And
Do we have pictures of this?
I don't
on
know.
me.
I would imagine we do. The thing is, we weren't using
This
cell
was
phones
before
yet.
camera
Yeah.
phones and stuff. So the fact, so it's these 4 quarters
Right.
of ruching that then got pieced together into the shape of the dress.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Now, how did you finish the neckline, and how it goes around the back like
so
that?
I think I made the tube first,
Okay.
and then I think we stuck the tube on your body,
Yeah.
and I made some basically, geographical points of where this reference points of how low should this be in the back, and where would this neckline, looking at your picture you made with marker,
Yeah.
and then decided, and then just took it off of you and cut it. I mean, truly, like, I think I folded it in half, front seam and back seam. I folded it on, laid it on the table, and I just cut,
Yeah.
assuming I was leaving the right amount of seam allowance, because you would need that. And then how I finished it is, all I used was, I think, some combed cotton. I made a combed cotton bias.
Oh.
So there's no other lining, see?
So the big, if you've been following our description of this, the big deal here was she'd already sewn everything together. So she couldn't put the lining there. She couldn't put a lining in the traditional sense.
Yeah, it has an invisible zipper.
Yeah. So what she had to do to finish that neckline and the part that went like under my arms and around to the back, it's finished with like a bias that's on the inside. Right. So that's how you okay, that was my question, because I was sort of like, oh, this is all sewn together.
Yeah. And
you know?
I think we thought about another lining.
Uh-huh.
And we decided, because it was so tight already, I think we thought it would just confuse us.
Well, and it was
we
already...
had lucked out already.
Yeah, it was
in making it work.
Already 2 pieces of bias. It was kind of like a Chinese finger trap.
It's exactly what it's like.
Yes. Now, we need to break for a message break real quick, and then we'll talk about boobs.
This episode is brought to you by the SEWHERE box. For more information, go to SEWHERE.com/BOX.
So the first SEWHERE box was an absolute success, and it happened right before Christmas in 2016. And we asked in the group if people would want a box of stuff curated by me and you, and they got all excited.
I know.
Yeah.
And I started looking on the internet and looking at like the bark box, and it didn't correlate very well, because I was like, what are we going to put in this box? I didn't want to disappoint anybody.
Well, and so it's a little different than some of the other boxes out there, right? So the SEWHERE box is not a subscription. You don't have to like keep paying to get it.
Right.
We put one out quarterly in general, and it's got a theme, and we put together a bunch of fun things that go with the theme that have to do with sewing. But there's also...
they're not fun. Fun.
Yeah, that's right.
I guess it's fun in the sense that it's a surprise or something you haven't used before, and something you probably are going to fall in love with and can't sew without.
And then there's also fun branded exclusive materials.
Yes.
Like the infamous I Am a Sewing Machine pin.
Yes, and all of Mallory's pins are infamous.
That's right. Highly coveted. And that pin was only available to SEWHERE box purchasers.
That's right.
So we've so far put out the SEWHERE box Indulge edition. That was our first one. And then we did the Dressmaker's Delight.
Which I keep calling the Dressmaker's Dream, but it was maybe we can have a Dressmaker's Dream.
Yeah,
later.
A year from now.
Right.
And so the newest box is our Stitch In with Knits box. So, if you're listening to this in the past, don't worry. You can go, or listening to it in the future, if
right.
this is in the past, you can go to SEWHERE.com/box, and you'll be directed to the most recent SEWHERE box, or to sign up for our newsletter to get exclusive early announcements about when the next box is available. And you can take a little piece of ZD's sewing studio home with you. Sewing out loud. All right, and we're back. So Mom's trying to reverse engineer her process a little bit here. So before you bound those edges with that binding we figured out, you put a dart in the bust area of the lining.
Apparently, I noticed that you needed a dart in the bust, and it's only in the lining, and it just comes down from right what I would call the axilla.
Not the armpit, the axilla.
Right, the axilla.
I shaved my armpits in high school. Now
that was the last time.
You only needed to put a dart in that lining, because the outer part's all ruched. There's all this extra.
Right, there's all this extra fabric. So apparently, I assumed that was going to give you plenty of room, and it was giving you plenty of room.
Well, and I was not busty in high school. I'm not busty now.
Yeah, but these boobs I put in it are busty.
That's right. So Mom would always say that I was the daughter she had to make boobs for. Right?
Mallory and I used to wear the same size dress, and there were dresses that I would put the boobs in for her, and then when I wanted to wear them, I would take the boobs out.
Yeah, exactly. So you've got some bra cups in there.
Right. There's a cup in there.
There's no bra wearing with this dress.
No.
In fact, we used to work with somebody to say, oh, the only thing you can wear under that dress is shoes. I think I did wear underwear, but I wear like a panty.
Right.
But
we also have a friend that says that came off as fast as a prom dress.
As a prom dress, yes.
Right.
And this prom dress didn't come off too fast, because I
wouldn't think so.
I mean, I was very modest
Actually, I
chaste
made
person.
it like a chastity belt.
Yeah, no. So the shape of the dress, though, I think this is interesting since it's all cut on the bias, and because I was a slender teenager, it basically is fitted to my hips.
Right.
Comes in a little bit of the waist, has a little bit of this bust shaping with those darts. And then it's hanging down from the hips, and there's not a ton of like tailoring. It's all about how
engineering.
Yeah, all about how
it's more about engineering and what does bias do and how does bias work and when she showed me this picture, I'm like, how am I going to make this?
I wonder if we've got the sketch anywhere.
I don't know.
It's possible.
It'd be
I could have it.
wonderful if we
I could have
did.
it.
I guess the other thing that's very interesting is the hanging straps I put on this.
What's so interesting about them?
One of the things that's interesting is we don't need to hang it from these beaded straps.
That's
right?
for sure.
Because that would be quite dangerous. And they would have pulled out or come apart or whatever. So I have long ribbons, and they're coming from way down the side seam.
Yeah.
So that they're, I assume I made this so that this would go up around a hanger. And probably the other thing I did is I probably pinned a ribbon from the front, and it's not on here now because we've actually got it on a bust form. But, I made sure there was no stress on this dress when it was hanging.
Yes, very important.
And we did let it hang because it wasn't on the bias, and we kind of needed to see this was one of the dresses that I think we actually took our time in making. Like maybe we made it a week before the prom instead of the night before.
Yeah, right. So I think that one of the last things we can talk about here, or one of the final things, is the hem. And that's where you think you may have started my bad habit. So we'll explain what we mean by that.
Well, I want to talk about the finish on the seams too.
Okay. Let's talk about the hem first.
But the hem, I did not hem the lining at all. I did not hem the lining. And the top is just what I call a tiny hem. It looks like I ran a stitch around the bottom of the hem, folded it up twice, and then top stitched it.
Right.
That's it. Tiny, tiny little hem. Then the other thing you'll see is I've chained the hem to the lining. Because believe me, this sucker could have twisted big time.
Well,
we needed to keep it like anchored somehow.
And we wanted it to still look bubbly down at the bottom. Because it looked, since it's all ruched, and, if ruched in the front center, back center, and the side seams, then you get down to the bottom, and it's going to be uneven. It's not like you can cut this hem off straight.
No.
So you left a little bit of length, and then the lining is slightly shorter than the sheer cheesy home deck fabric. And you chained it up so that it would just
chained it up at each seam, front, back, side, and then look 2 times in between. So we wanted it to cup.
It cupped up. Yeah, it was almost like a bubble hem, except cooler and nicer looking,
Of course.
It was not a traditional bubble hem. Now, I had to be careful getting in this dress, like with my heels, because of that. A prom dress is like a costume. You have to account.
Prom is only about the dress anyway.
That's right. That's the only reason I went. So, you might make a dress for somebody and it doesn't fit like their normal clothes. They have to be careful when they get in and out of it, or they have they can't do something stupid and break their beaded straps.
Here's also an example, a good example. You see all of the dresses on the red carpets, the runway, the red carpet events that the movie stars are on, or all of that. All of their hems are usually puddled and too long.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to wear that as a real person. And I will tell you, they don't wear those dresses to the party afterwards.
That's right. They're posing for the pictures.
They are posing, and they are lifting up those dresses and walking with them. Sometimes they're tripping.
Yep.
But they're lifting, and I would have so many girls say to me, "Oh, I want it like, Jennifer Lopez's dress or something." And I'd say, I can do that, but you're going to have a miserable night.
Right. You're not going to be able to walk. You're not going to be able to.
Right. And sometimes
dance.
what I would do is I would just make it higher in the front.
Uh-huh.
And that's where I guess the high-low hem started. But, and I might let it puddle around the sides and the back for them. But if they could not walk, and here, these are, young girls who aren't used to these clothes at all.
Sure.
So it was almost dangerous where they wanted their hems to be.
So talk to me about the seam finishes on the inside.
There are none.
Yeah, right.
So when I talk about bulk all the time,
Mom ain't adding no bulk.
no bulk. So it looks like, because everything is cut on the bias,
Yep.
I decided to do no finishing. And I assume this has only been washed once, like after you wore it.
I think I've only worn this dress once.
I think so too. So you can see all that. We'll take pictures of this. It has a invisible zipper in it. It's invisible, but you can see it.
Right.
But it has an invisible zipper in it, and none of those seams on any of the fabric is finished because it's cut on the bias.
Well, when Mom says you can see the invisible zipper, you can see it from the inside.
Right.
But talk about hiding an invisible zipper nicely. You know what hides an invisible zipper nicely?
Ruching.
Ruching with some shiny fabric,
Let's see how easy it goes up and down. That's what I wonder. Oh, it's not bad.
No, it's not bad. And I remember not having trouble with it.
Well, this is only about 9 inches long because it only had to go over your butt.
That's
we
right.
just had to make it go over your butt.
It just had to go a little lower than my hips. It's not very long at all. It doesn't go like all the way up the back because there's no back to this dress, And the reason this dress worked on me, when you see this dress and it's very brief, I was not the person in my group of friends who was wearing a D cup in high school.
Right.
Like this would not have worked on a super.
I don't think I could have ever worn this dress.
On a large busted person, unless you use like a lot of tape.
There would have been a lot of duct tape.
Yeah, and you had some special ways to keep your boobs up,
and inside,
other than just like being a teenager, So yeah, I could wear this because I didn't have to wear a bra. I didn't need, that kind of support. But my friend Becca, whose dress you made later.
Right. I made hers that same year.
Did she go to prom that year?
Yep. She went to prom with you every year.
Every year? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So she has boobs.
Right. And she had, a scoop neck with we made bra-friendly straps.
Yes.
And guess what we put in those straps?
Lingerie
guides.
Lingerie guides.
Look on YouTube.
That's right.
SEWHERE.com, lingerie guides.
So I didn't need any lingerie guides because I couldn't wear any
she didn't have
lingerie on it. That. So we're also gonna try and find somebody to model this dress.
It's going to have to be like a 4-year-old or something.
I know. It's really.
Maybe we can put it on Zelda.
It's really skinny. It's so skinny. But like I said, it's kind of like a Chinese finger trap. It does get wider. You just get stuck in it,
Right.
So, all right. Well, this is, like I said, it's the first in a long list of really cool projects that Mom has made over the years that we need to discuss.
From Mallory's crayon drawings.
I hope this podcast translates well.
Might not.
Take a look at the picture.
Yeah, I was going to say, this might be a podcast that you really need the pictures for.
You really need the pictures for. But yeah, it was super fun to wear. It was fun to design. And I am going to look for those sketches. So thank you all for listening. You can find us on Instagram. Hey, we'll post pictures on Instagram.
So long and so happy.
Thanks for listening to Sewing Out Loud. For even more expert sewing advice, visit SEWHERE.com.